Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, the first in a four-part series on how to use Signagelive. My name is Lisa Yates and I'm the Signagelive Sales Engineer for the South of England. On chat today we have Robbie, who will be able to answer any questions you may have during this webinar. We estimate this webinar will take no longer than 20 minutes. Today we will be looking at assets and covering the following: how to upload assets to Signagelive, which file types are supported within Signagelive, creating custom RSS and media RSS, and the benefits of tagging assets. So let's get started. What are assets? Assets are videos, images, web pages, IPTV streams, and RSS feeds that you can display over your Signagelive players. So on my screen here, we're actually logged into the Remote Media Sales Network. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload some assets to Signagelive. So if I go to Content, and I go to Assets, and if we go to Add Assets, and we just click onto that. So here we can add our media assets. First of all, we need to look at what media types are supported within Signagelive. So if you see below Add Files and Add URLs, we have View Supported Media Types. If we click onto this, it will actually take us to our knowledge base, where we can actually view all of the file types that are supported within Signagelive. As you can see, we've got image files, video files, audio files, web and dynamic content files, other media, user-generated content, and other supported files. So let's go back now into our Signagelive network and add some files. So if we hit Add File on the top left-hand side, and now all we need to do is basically browse the laptop or PC that we're working from to find the content. So what we're going to do here is we can select the individual items, or we can multiple select. So once you're happy with all of the items that you've got selected, all you do is hit Open, and they'll appear here in your uploading queue on the left-hand side. What we can do is we can actually set tags to these assets. So I can tag all of these assets. So for instance, we tag them all webinar. But what I can do is I can click on individual assets and set a tag for those as well. These tags will allow you to easily find your assets once you've uploaded them onto Signagelive. And they'll also allow you to create things to do with specific playlists, which we'll actually discuss next week. So if we move on to the next item across here, so the Add URLs. So if I click onto Add URL, all we can do is we can add a web page, we can add an RSS feed, or we can add a stream. So if we start with a web page, I'll hit Add Web Page. What we do is we give the web page a name, and then we just enter the web address. We tick the box to confirm that we have permission to use and distribute the assets, and then we hit OK. And if we scroll down in our upload queue, the website's actually appeared at the bottom. Again, we can set tags against that. So if we go back to the Add URL, and we'll go to the next one down now, so the Add RSS Feed. So again, all I do is click on Add RSS Feed, I can name the RSS feed, and then we just go to the website, take the web address, and then just paste it into the URL. All we then need to do is just go back through the feed and then just delete out any parts that we may have duplicated. Tick the box to confirm that we have permission to use and distribute the asset, and then we hit OK. Again, that's appeared in our uploading queue, and we can set tags against it. So finally, if we go back up to the Add URLs, and then we go to Add Streams. So our stream, for instance, could be IPTV. So with this, again, we give the stream a name. And then what we need to do is we need to actually select the prefix your stream uses from the drop-down menu. And then all you do is you enter the full stream IP address in the URL box next to it. You confirm that you have permission to upload the asset, and then you hit OK. And again, it appears in your uploading queue. Once you have everything ready to upload in the queue, all you do is you hit this box up the top that says Upload Assets, and then your assets will upload to your Signagelive network. So now we're just going to move on to a quick poll. Okay, so now we're going to look at custom RSS feeds and media RSS feeds. So if we go and create a custom RSS feed within Signagelive first, so we're back to our remote media sales network, and we're back to content, we're back to assets, and now we're going down to custom RSS feed. So if I just click into that, we're now into our feed browser. So this is a list of any feeds that we may have that we've actually created in the past, or that may currently be being used on screens on our Signagelive network. But what we're going to do today is we're actually going to create a new feed. So over on the left-hand side, you can see the blue button that says New Feed. If I click into that, so this is the part where we actually create our feed. So what we need to do is we need to give our feed a title. So when we're using the browser, it's easier to find the feed that we're looking for. So today we will call our feed Webinar. And then what we need to do is we need to add items to this feed. So if I hit Add Items, the blue button in the bottom left-hand corner, we now need to add our text lines into our RSS feed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one based on the series of 4 webinars that we're actually carrying. We'll be going on throughout this month. So first of all, we'll do assets. Now the title will appear in the feed, the description won't. But what you can do is, if you are setting this up for a message manager user, is you can put a description in there that could relate to the type of text that you want within the title that will appear on the screen itself. So once you're happy with what you've put within the title, all you do is you hit Save and Add New, so over on the right-hand side. and then we continue to add the items in. So we've got assets, and then we have playlists, and then we hit save and add new, and then we have layouts, and again save and add new, and then deployment, and then we hit save. So up in the top box here, we can add another item to this feed, or we can return to the feed. We're actually going to hit return to the feed. So what you can see here in our feed that we've created is we've got a title. So our title is webinar, and then below are our items. So we have a series of items here which we can edit or delete. So for instance, if we wanted to go in and edit the assets one, all we do is hit the edit item, and then just go in and we could add any additional text that we wanted to put in there. And then just hit save. So if we return back to the feed again, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to assign a message manager user to this feed. The message manager user will be able to log into the Signagelive message manager and update the text within this RSS feed that we've created. So if I go on the right hand side to the blue button that says message manager user, if we click that, what we've got here is a list of everyone on our network who we could actually assign to this RSS feed. So for instance, I could assign myself to the RSS feed. But what I could also do is I could create a new user. So if I hit create new user, all I do here is I put their details in, first name, last name, email address, and I create them a password, and then we've created another user. So they will then appear in our menu, and we can then tick their box and assign them to that RSS feed. Let's now look at when someone with a message manager account logs in, what they can actually see. If I just move across to this tab here, what we've got is we've got Robbie's message manager. So when he logs in, what he can see is he can see this item that's marked as a ticker. So this is a custom RSS feed. So if I just click into this custom RSS feed, as you can see, it's a series of text boxes. So the titles that we were adding within our RSS feeds initially. But what Robbie can do from his message manager is he can actually go in and he can edit the text. And what we can also do from there with a right-click function is do things like spell check, so we can check spelling as well. But once Robbie's gone in and updated any of the text within his message manager account, if he hits save, what will happen is any of the players currently playing that content will then change the first line of the RSS feed to welcome to today's webinar instead of what was actually there before. So really easy for message manager users to just go in and update their text. A good example of this would be in a corporate environment where you've got a receptionist who can maybe customize welcome messages for visitors that are coming in on a specific day. So let's go back onto our remote media sales network now within Signagelive, and let's look at creating a media RSS. So if we go back to our content tab, and we go back to assets, and then we go back to custom RSS feed. And again, we're going to create a new feed. So we hit the blue button on the left-hand side, and we need to give the feed a title. Once we've given the feed a title, we need to add an item. So we add item with the blue button. And we're actually going to add some media. So as you can see at the bottom, we've got add media. Can we just click on that? So it's now asking us where would we like to get our asset from. So we can either get it from our computer that we're connected to, or we can actually use the Signagelive library. We're going to use the Signagelive library today. So if we hit that, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to search my library under tags that were set on my assets when I actually uploaded them, and I'm going to search for menu. So as you can see, any asset that was actually tagged with menu has actually now appeared within the library. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the beverage menu, so the JPEG, the first one on the left-hand side. If I click into it, we then have a preview of what it's going to look like. And now we're going to edit it. So if I hit the edit button, as you can see, the JPEG has appeared on the screen. And what we've got is we have a text box on the left-hand side, and we also have font. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to layer text boxes on top of our JPEG. So on the left-hand side, we'll start off with maybe putting Bud Light in, and we're going to add that as text. And what we can do is we can select a font here from the left-hand side. Signagelive will pick up on any fonts that you have installed on the laptop or PC that you are working from, but please bear in mind if you are working with a custom font, then it will need to be installed on the player at the other end as well. But what we can do from here with our text properties, we can also do things like change the font color. We can change that to white. I can also change the size. I can also change the positioning. And I can do things like change where it's aligned, so left, central, or right. What we're going to do now is we're just going to drag the Bud Light text box out and then just pop it on a line. Once we've clicked off the box, we can then go in and create another text box. So let's get a price up there for that Bud Light. We say £3.90, and then we hit the add text. So again, all we need to do is just go in, change the size, change the font color, and if I just move this text properties box out the way, we can move our £3.90 across. When a Message Manager user logs in to their Message Manager account, if you've given them the permission to update a media RSS, all they will be able to do is update the text boxes. So for instance, at the moment the Bud Light text box is actually quite small. But what we can actually do is we can actually extend the box itself out. There you go. We can actually extend the text box out. So that allows for extra text input. So for instance, if that was to change, if that was to stay at Bud Light, but they were also going to advertise the standard Bud in there as well, what they could do is then just add the additional text to that. So once you're happy with what you've created and the text boxes that you've actually put in, all you then do is you hit save. And then we can return to the actual media RSS itself. And then if we hit save, and then we return to the feed, what we can now do is we can assign Message Manager users to this. So an example of this, we use this quite a lot within the digital menu board market. So you've got your restaurant manager, who all of a sudden they're doing a price drop on something, so they need to go in and change the pricing. What you can do is you can assign them as a Message Manager user. So if this was specific for a restaurant chain and an individual manager for each individual site had control over their pricing, what we could then do is we could set them up as users. So for instance, if we were setting up a Message Manager user for this, we'd again go into the Message Manager users, so up on the right hand side, the blue button. And exactly the same as before. We'd search for a user that we wanted to have access, and then we'd tick the box that enables them to do that. Or we could again go in and we could create a new one. So when that person logs into the Signagelive Message Manager, all they'll be able to see is the image and then the text boxes, but they won't be able to edit anything like the font, the text size, the text color. All they'll be able to do is literally edit the text itself. So we've now covered off how to upload assets to Signagelive, which file types are supported within Signagelive, how you create custom RSS and media RSS, and tagging within Signagelive. Well, I'd like to thank you for your time this afternoon, and hopefully you'll be able to join us next week when we're covering playlists. This will include creating playlists, managing playlists, creating nested playlists and localized playlists, and the use of conditional assets.